I made a lot of people race on the super chain. Craze back outside and it's right here. It's that super bass. I just woke up and I'm like, what I'm finna do today? Measurements, major flips, makes sense. Okay, let's go. Going up, I'm going long. I told the squad, meet at the base. Punt the bags, I punt the stock. It must be hard to keep the pace. 7 figures out the songs, that was the outcome of my pain. We're bringing $1 billion on chain.
Some people gon' leave whenever there's tough times, but shout out to the real ones that stuck by. Dark days make you appreciate when there's sunshine. Reason I trust mine. Look, I got some moves to make. I gotta get it right now, I refuse to wait. Really don't do the fakes. I gotta keep my grind slow just to view the snakes. If only you knew the stakes. Taking these risks to pursue was great. I got some moving bass. Now I'm on chain and I'm using bass. Using bass. Now I'm on chain and I'm using bass. I've been outside, I'ma choose my faith. Cooking the shit of a food on plates. And then when Rio be standing on business, there ain't no way we can lose this race. I had to manage the damage inflicted. Put on the grass, we don't use the brakes. Nah. So many chains I've been able to mint. So many ways now I'm taking my pick. Bullet the best while I'm still in the market. Wallets on wallets, I'm staking a bit. Bass like I'm Little B. Say what I say, now she feel to me. Make what I make, now they shielding me.
Big dog, big drums, big bass. When she look around, she see bass. Try to play keep up, but it's way too late.
Onchain is the next online.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Onchain Stories. I'm your host, Jesse Pollack, the creator of Base. Super excited to be here, calling from the sunny city of San Francisco today, and super excited to be joined by Peter Pasma, who's an incredible generative artist. Peter, I'd love for you to just start by introducing yourself, telling us a little bit more about who you are, and sharing your journey of coming on chain.
Yeah, so my name's Peter Pasma. I'm a generative artist based in the Netherlands. And yeah, I started out making generative art like in 98, maybe. Then I called it the demo scene, or no, I didn't call it that way. That's just what it was called, what I was doing. But it was kind of like creative coding, at least with graphics. I've been doing that for as long as I remember since, and yeah, I started minting stuff, one-of-ones, and some click for new art type of NFTs on the Tezos blockchain with Hicketnung. And then later on, I had did something on Foundation, one-of-ones, and then I minted my first long-form project on the Artblocks platform on Ethereum, which is called Sculpture. It is 1,000 photorealistic rendered sculptures in imaginary places, and they're rendered using only 6,370 bytes of code, using no libraries or external assets or whatever. It's just doing all the ray tracing and generating of no 3D models, nothing.
That's amazing. And I'm curious, what brought you on chain? Like, why did you start bringing your art on chain, and kind of what's your experience been doing that? How has it impacted you?
Well, it was what inspired me originally was when Dimitri Cherniak made ringers on Artblocks. He was in our generative art community and talked about this project. And I had heard about NFTs, but I never really understood how you could like own a JPEG. And suddenly I kind of got it. And I also saw that it was like a new way to appreciate this art form that we were already doing. That was, well, Artblocks and so many other platforms like Highlight now are facilitating. That is, before, if I showed my program to you, well, you can do it with Vareniyam right now. If you randomize it a lot, you'll go away with this is a program that generates a lot of pretty pictures. But now that you can choose one and mint one, that one is yours. And maybe in case of ringers, it kind of looks like a duck, you know. And but the thing is that you get a more personal connection with the single outputs of the program versus like this whole average mesh of the idea of the program. And I thought that was incredible, that there was just a new way to make this art, to give it to the public in a different way. And that's what that's what really inspired me, and I've set out to do that.
Yeah.
Since.
Well, I love that. And I think it is such a like great example of kind of how Onchain has changed this genre of generative art. Before, you could, anyone could experience the like kind of experience of generative art, but you'd have that experience and then it would kind of be over because you'd generate a picture and then you'd go on with your life. But now with NFTs and actually being able to own these assets, you can mint something. It can be in your wallet. It can be a piece of art that you own for the rest of your life. And I think that long-term connection that collectors and folks are finally being able to actually create for themselves with the art is really meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what brought me into it. And I've been making various kind of long-form projects ever since. Also, a whole bunch of one-ones. But
I love it. And so talk to us a little bit about the piece that you're dropping today. I know you just gave a little bit, but give us the like story behind it, kind of what it is, and bring folks along the journey.
So I've been thinking a long time about how to properly let the audience experience like all the different parameters of a generative art project. And there's this a platform called FX Hash, who recently made a module that's called FX Params, and you can make all sorts of things with that now. And it really inspired me to think about what it really means for someone to interact with a generative art project like that. And I figured you can't really do it properly. And I just kept trying to find a solution, because I've got I just tried to count them. There's about 100 sine waves or something going on in the formula of this piece. And I need to pick a random phase for each of them. And how do you can't expect someone to set 100 sliders to get the perfect thing, even if they understood what they were doing. And so both communicating that part, what is it that you're doing, and making it easy. Suddenly I had this idea, like, what if I group the parameters in some groups that are somewhat functional, somewhat coherent, at least in my mind they are, and let people re-roll randomly on those. Because I used to study machine learning, and this parameter space, it's like a very high dimensional space, basically, if that makes sense. And a lot of weird stuff happens in very high dimensional spaces, like distances are longer than you expect, and all sorts of weird stuff happens, especially. So I try to tame all those dimensions of the parameter space in some kind of way by choosing different random distributions for the parameters, but all wrapping it up in 5 units of re-rolls for people to sort of be able to navigate the space. It's like there's a method called, I think, not simulated annealing, but one that's related to it, that only updates one dimension at once. I forget what it's called, but this is sort of like that. People get to explore the parameter space by selectively re-rolling 5 axes of dimensionality, basically.
And that was my experience. I mean, I minted mine this morning, and I feel like the thing that it made me feel was like I was actually a part of the piece, and I was able to have this, like input of like, oh, I want it to look slightly different. Let me make one tweak, and then it would react. And that was the first time I'd actually had that experience with generative art. Previously, I'd minted different pieces, but it had always kind of happened to me. And then I had something in my wallet that was generated based on the block hash or something else like that. But this was really the first time where I'd been able to actually kind of directly engage with it, change the shape of it, and then mint it. And that felt really special.
I'm really happy that you had that experience and enjoyed it so much. That's really great to hear. Together with the team of Highlight, who I have to give out props to, they had a great deal of support in getting the interface with the buttons. I had already written like basically a keyboard-only controls because I thought that is easy to navigate because I'm a programmer. But people like buttons, and especially on mobile phones, this is easier. But although I highly recommend you to check out Vareniyam on a desktop computer, especially if you got a very large monitor, you can click the full screen button, and it's just pretty incredible.
So last question before we wrap up, I'm curious kind of like how you see on-chain art and on-chain generative art impacting the lives of artists in the years ahead as more and more of this stuff comes on-chain.
I was thinking about this question, and it made me think of a discussion I had with Melissa Wiederrecht, another great generative artist. You should check her out. But it was about AI, and not image generating AI, but AI writing code. And AI is getting better at writing code. And at some point, we're no longer going to need to write code anymore. And we might be the last humans that do. And there's like this thing that made me think like, I got to put my code on chain now before it becomes impossible to tell whether any code was AI generated or not. I mean, it just barely can't do the kind of stuff that I can do, but it won't take a few years, probably less. I don't know. I'm not making predictions here. But that was one reason, funny reason I thought that was bringing stuff on chain is a good idea. But it is, in the general case for longevity, a good idea, because longevity is generally a problem with generative art, and by setting up these platforms with standards and putting the code on chain, there's a lot of ways to get that longevity, but this is certainly one of the pillars that really helps.
100%. And I think what we're seeing and hearing pretty consistently from artists is that they're bringing their art on chain because of longevity, because they know it's going to be there permanently and they're not going to be deplatformed. They're bringing it on chain because of ownership and because they know that their art's going to be theirs, and when people collect it, it's also going to be theirs. And then they're also bringing it on chain because it's a way for them to earn money, and being able to actually accept payments from anywhere in the world and have people become collectors and patrons of their art is incredibly powerful. And I think more and more we're seeing this happen every day. So, Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for creating this beautiful art on Highlight. I'm excited to keep collecting and keep seeing what you create.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It's been a really nice chat.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.